Hi everybody, this is Claire, and welcome back to another video by Claire and Fam. So today I thought I might talk a little bit about the differences between being a host and being an alter. So everybody's journey with dissociative identity disorder is different because everybody's life and the trauma that they suffered through to get this disorder was different. Every host is going to be different. Every alter is going to be different. Any roles that are played in the system can switch, and hosts can also switch. I, Claire, as long as I've known, have been the host of my body. But there have been periods of my life where I felt like I was not being myself or going through a phase. And now that I'm realizing I have different alters and there are different sets of memories that reside in my head, I understand that they're not all mine and that I have not always been the host or the personality occurring most often in everyday social life. One main difference between being the host and being an alter, at least for our system, is when I'm host, my head's a little bit quieter. So when I'm host and I'm fronting and I feel like I can fully connect with my environment and the world and I'm really living in the moment, I don't hear my alters very much. I don't feel my alters very much. And what I mean by feel them and hear them is I don't necessarily hear different voices in my head telling me different things, but I might react to a certain situation or something that's been said to me, and like there's 3 different patterns of how I feel about that. Like, for example, my husband had a new friend on Snapchat today, and I personally did not care. I didn't have a problem with this new friend. That was like my first wave of emotion, was just like, okay, cool, like you're showing me a video of their snap. That's great. Then I had a second emotion of jealousy because I have seen the person that they were Snapchatting and I think that person is really, really cool and beautiful, and I guess it made someone or something inside of me feel very unsafe. And then of course my protector Jade came out and was not okay. It was very controlling and demanding, and I guess, yeah, when I react to things I can feel such strong emotions that I've almost explained it to my friends that like sometimes certain alters will embody an emotion, such as Ange is anger. That's actually where her name comes from, A-N-G. Jade is cold and protective, and Andrew is almost the epitome of depression. So I've tried to explain it as having really, really intense emotions to the point that they take on a personality of themselves and they react to things based on the situations that they've been in the past. So with that being said, how is an alter created then? Well, when a human being is going through a traumatic event or some traumatic events in their lifetime, especially before the age of 8 or 9 years old, their personality, who they are as a person has not fully formed yet. That comes after 9, around 10 and 11. So if this forming of a whole productive person who can succeed in society is messed up by trauma, then the person can, in a way of defending themselves, the person's mind creates a block. So think of it like I, as a child, was going through a certain situation that I was so upset about and so afraid of that I couldn't I couldn't grasp what was happening to me or why it was happening or why I would deserve such horrible treatment. The brain instead is a way to cut my consciousness of Claire out of that realm. It created a different consciousness, or it allowed a separate part of my consciousness to experience that trauma for me. This, I think, can confuse a lot of people, but really all my brain was trying to do was survive in a moment. Some pretty horrible things were going on, and I just could not compute what was happening. So instead, my brain just kind of turned off, at least my awareness of how bad everything that was going on was going on. And in a way, it puts out a different consciousness. And that consciousness will experience trauma as the present. So that piece of my consciousness that was sent out or that was turned on to allow my brain to absorb what was happening to me, it didn't store it as a memory, because when human beings are in fight or flight, it is a trigger, or it is a life or death situation. So the brain doesn't store it as a memory, it stores it as a coping mechanism / a way to survive in a world where you don't understand why bad things are happening to you. A lot of people ask me, if your alter, let's say Andrew, holds a lot of the pain, how do you know about it? How do you know that you went through these things? I just have to say, I'm not an expert. I really don't know, but it's still me. It's still my brain. It's all connected. But the difference between, let's say, my brain and someone that only has a single personality is those little separate light switches that my brain would turn on and off to keep my awareness out of knowing that I was being traumatized. It creates what's called amnesic walls between the consciousness that it was protecting and the consciousness that it let know what was happening. This wall is obviously a flesh membrane, because we all know what the brain is. So I don't think that it always works perfectly. It doesn't block everything. However, it kind of creates little soldiers inside your head. Or if you've seen Inside Out, is a movie, and there's little people in this child's head that control the different emotions and reactions to certain stimuli. I almost feel like, now that I know who my alters are, I understand that they have jobs, just like those people in Inside Out, inside the head, the different emotions. My alters have similar jobs that I do not choose for them and that I do not ask them to do for me, but it just comes out. So, like a protector like Jade is very cold and very easily yells and blames others, which has been a learned coping mechanism in order to protect me, because as Claire, as the host, I was very frightened of life as a child, but I knew I didn't necessarily deserve what was happening to me. I did not understand why it was happening to me, but Jade knew that it was wrong. And when I was a teenager, she finally did start standing up to my abusers. Unfortunately, that did get me a lot more abuse, but it made her strong because she stayed out and she took it. Now, like, conversely, someone like Andrew was a part of the brain that turned on while my part was turned off. And unfortunately, that part of the brain developed as a person. And that part of the brain holds a lot of pain. And so when that part of the brain, that consciousness, is what's in the real world or is connecting to society, it makes me feel his pain everywhere. Now, when he's not fronting, I can sometimes, if he's super upset, feel upset inside of me, but not have any thoughts to go with it. And that's how I know I can be like, that's just how I know I'm upset, because I feel upset, but it's not like Andrew's talking to me in my head and necessarily telling me all the time. Also, being an alter can feel like waiting in the shadows for your turn to experience life, and that can be frustrating. It can often be reasons why I will refuse to read something even though I know it's due that day, or I can be crying in bed and not really know why. So, I'm not quite sure how clear this was. You guys gotta let me know if I can be more clear, but I am starting to dissociate. I did not have the easiest of mornings, so I should go. But thank you for watching, trying to understand a little bit better. I'm gonna make some better videos. I'm gonna write out notes. I'm doing all this free balling. So maybe next time I'll write some notes. But I hope that you guys have a great night if you're watching. Thank you for your support. If there's anything I can do to help you, or if you want to learn from one of my experiences, please feel free to comment or DM me. And please feel free to ask any of my alters questions too. Again, I just thank you for your support. I hope to be getting more videos out soon. I started work again, so the system communication has been dim. But I will try, and I'll try. I'm gonna try. Okay. Have a good night. I love you so much. And remember to keep pushing. And if you can't keep pushing, try and contact me, and I'll try and help. Okay? I love you so much. Have a good rest of your night. Okay, bye.